Hi guys, and welcome to episode number 50 of the Happy Knitting Podcast. At least I believe it's number 50 because I don't have any show notes today. Anyways, my name is Julia and I'm coming to you from Germany, and today is August 7th, which is a Sunday. So for those of you checking out this podcast for the first time, I really hope that you like it. And if you're coming back, thank you so much. I really appreciate everyone who comes and listens to this podcast. So, before I get into the knitting, I have a few housekeeping things to talk about. So those of you who've been watching for a while know that I've had problems with my camera, my recording, and the audio being too quiet. It's weird because for some people it really doesn't matter and some people have huge problems. But anyways, last week I said I was going to fix it and I actually got a microphone, but it turns out that something with my phone is broken. So I am recording on my old phone because my new phone, which I got specifically for recording this podcast, ironically, has been sent to ASOS to be fixed. So I'm hoping that they will fix it. They'll be able to fix it and that they'll cover all the costs for fixing it. And for now I have to record on my old phone, which should be fine because, the quality isn't fantastic, but it worked for a really long time. So I hope you guys don't mind. So that's the update on my phone. I probably won't have it for another 2 or 3 weeks. But I really hope that all goes well and they will fix it. So fingers crossed. I feel like I had something else for housekeeping to talk about, but I don't remember. But anyways, I'm recording on my old phone now, which means that I hope it works, and maybe I'll go through some things again that I talked about last week, just because some people might not have watched because of the audio problem. So I'm going to show all of the knit along prizes again, for example, and in the hope that this phone doesn't crash or do anything stupid, this might be a bit of a longer, more talkative episode, which I hope you guys will like. So, I will talk today about the knit-alongs, works in progress, acquisitions, and life in general. And like I said, I don't have any show notes, so I'm just going to go with it. But before we go into the knit-along news, we have a coupon code for a store, an Etsy store called Nalibes. It's nalibes.etsy.com, I believe. And I can show you her card somehow. This is her webpage, and if you use the code HAPPY10, happy all capitals, you will get 10% off your order at this Etsy store. And she does yarn, and she also sells project bags, and I think she also does more things which I'm not sure about. So make sure you check out Katarina's store, and thank you so much, Katarina, for donating or offering the coupon code. And that is valid until the 30th of September, which is the end of the Treat Yourself Cow. So the Treat Yourself Cow is a knit-along that started last week. I'm really, really excited about it, and the idea is to treat yourself and knit something out of a yarn that is special to you for some reason. It may be because it's a fancy yarn, it may just be that you got it from a dear friends, or it was hard to get. Whatever is a special treat for you works. So for this knit along, things had to be cast on August 1st or later, so no whips allowed. And it runs until the 30th of September. And I'm so happy about how excited all of you guys are. I was really, really excited, and there's so much fun going on in the chatter thread, and I'm enjoying this cow a lot more than I thought I would. Of course, I thought I was going to enjoy it, but it's just been so much fun. So we have we have 3 prizes for the knit along. For the FO thread, we have 2 skeins of yarn, and the first one is from Nalibes Yarns on Etsy, which I just talked about, her store. And this is a beautiful skein of sock yarn. It is on her sock base, 75% superwash wool, 25% nylon, 400 meters per 100 grams, and this is the Vampire Bite colorway, which is really pretty. And I guess it's kind of between a tonal and a variegated. It has lots of different shades of pink and some purple and some brown in here. Whoops. And yeah, so this is one prize. And another yarn, and this comes with a sparkly mini also from Katarina. And then we have another skein of yarn to give away as a prize, and this is from She Bought Garnet. And this is her card, another German indie dyer. Her name is Nadine. And I love her yarn. This one I've actually tried before. And this is on her soft sock base in the colorway Waterfall. So this, I believe, is an 80-20, yeah, 80% merino, 20% polyamide blend, 400 meters per 100 grams, and as you can see, it's got these really, really cool aqua, blue, and slightly purple tones, and it's really pretty, even though I feel like the colors aren't showing up too great. It is actually a lot prettier than it's coming off on the screen. I'm not sure what's going on with the phone. I think I'm just not used to this camera anymore. But anyways, thank you so much for donating these two prizes. These two will be for the FO thread. And then we also have two baby patterns from Jackie, whose store I have linked in the Ravelry group thread. So if you want to check out, she has so many baby patterns. She donated one to me as well, which is the Lara pattern, which is really, really cute. So make sure you check that out as well. And two of these patterns will be given away for the chatter thread. So that's the first knit along. The second knit along we have going on at the moment is the Squishy Cow, which is a knit along for the Squishalicious shawl, which I designed. And that runs until August 31st. It has been extended because a few people said they weren't going to be able to finish in time. So yeah, knit a Squishalicious shawl, we still have lots of time. And we have two chatter prizes for this one. They are geeky bookmarks from Grace, who has a Fandom Doodler Etsy store. These two are mine. I picked those for myself, and she has lots of different characters that she draws herself. And two winners will be able to choose their favorite character from a show or something off her Etsy store, and she will send them straight out to you. And then we also have a finished object prize, which is this bag from Katrina. Sorry, she's in the UK. She is really, really great at sewing, even though she doesn't have a store, but she really could because it's really pretty, this sort of sewing themed bag. And it also comes with a needle cozy. So these are all the prizes. I'm probably not going to show them that often in the next couple of weeks, but I really just wanted to go through all of them again because, like I said, I'm not sure how many people watched my last few episodes. So those are the knit-alongs. I keep looking over there because that's where I usually have my show notes, but I don't have any show notes today, so that's kind of stupid. But yeah, those are the two knit-alongs that are going on at the moment, and these are hosted in the Ravelry group, which is called the Happy Knitting Podcast group. And I would ask that you become a member of the group to take part in the call. And that's also where we have an introduction thread, and we have shameless self-promotion threads. So if you want to be enabled, or if you're a maker and you want to show us what you're making, go in there. Someone asked if I have recommendations for German indie dyers, and in fact I have a thread in there which lists some of the German indie dyers that I have tried. So if you're interested in that, make sure to check that out, and if you have any recommendations for me, I'd also be interested in that. And I'm sure there are more threads in there. I'm just not able to remember all of them. But yeah, go over to the Ravelry group and check it out. I always love hearing from you guys. Talking about Ravelry, you can find me on Ravelry as Wupfi, which is WUEPFI. And you can find me on Instagram as the Happy Knitting Podcast. And of course, I'll post the show notes to every episode in the Ravelry group as well. So let's move on to some knitting. I don't have any finished objects. I feel like I have lots of projects that are kind of close to being finished, but nothing is being finished, which is a little bit frustrating because I want to cast on all the things. But I guess this could count as an FO. I finished another square of my pinwheel scrap blanket and attached it. So this is my blanket. And this one is my finished square for this week, or for last week I suppose, because last week I had to put this in the freezer because I found a moth in it. But these are the yarns that I've used. I have no idea what they are because they're mostly gifted minis, but I think they're really pretty. And I didn't only finish that square, I also am almost finished with another one. And this is going to be a bit messy to show you. I actually thought I had lost this square. But yeah, so I put in a mini of my Life in the Long Grass, which I used for my Squishalicious shawl. This gray, I'm not quite sure where it's from. This one is from All About Yarn. I know that Jenny from All About Yarn also sent me this, but I don't think she dyed this herself. This is She Bought Garne in the Valentine's colorway. And this is, of course, Pond from Bärenwolle. I have a mini from that from a friend of mine, and I've been coveting it and putting little pieces of it in blankets. So yeah, that's my pinwheel scrap blanket, and that pattern is by Mina Phillip of the Knitting Expat podcast. So moving on to other works in progress. First of all, I have my featherweight, which is of course a pattern by Henna Fettig. And I have finished the body. Maybe I should show you the yarn first. This is the yarn that I'm using. And I feel like the colors are not showing at all today, which is really, really sad. But it's more purple than it's showing up on the screen. It looks very blue on the screen right now, but it's actually quite purple. This is Mirasol Sulca Legato. It's a 60% wool, 20% alpaca, 20% silk. And this has 250 meters per 50 grams. So it's a light fingering weight yarn. This is shade number 13. And I am on my second 50 gram skein. I have 3. So I'm curious if it's going to be enough. I'm not quite sure yet. But I finished the body. I'm not sure how much you can see because I can't see what you're seeing. But I finished it and it's attached. And I started the first sleeve, so I haven't done very much. I think I've done one set of decreases. And because this is my second one and my first one was already quite tight around the shoulders, even though I did 4 extra stitches on my first one, and this one I'm doing 6 extra stitches on the sleeves. But I think I'm just going to decrease as it says in the pattern. So if you want any details on that, just look on my project page. But yeah, this is moving along. I'm knitting this on 3.5mm needles. These are my Adi Lace needles. And I always put my spare stitches on Knit Pro interchangeable cables, because it's a really, really easy way to store your stitches, and then you can just knit them off here when you need to attach a second sleeve. So that's my second featherweight. I really, really love it. The first one I knit out of Holzgarn Coast, which I didn't really enjoy knitting with. And with this yarn, I'm enjoying it so much more, and so far it seems to fit really, really great. So yeah, I'm very excited to finish this, and I'm hoping that maybe my yarn will be enough, because I don't really want to buy another skein to only use like 10 grams, so fingers crossed. I think I'm going to make 3/4 sort of sleeves again, so it might be enough. And this bag is of course from Diary of a Yarn Snob, which I won in January, I think. It's a really, really awesome bag and perfect for sweaters. My next work in progress are my socks. This is using She Bought Garne yarn, which I showed you before for the giveaway. This is in the colorway Wild Thing. And yeah, the colors are pretty crazy. I really like it. My cake is kind of messy by now. So again, this is in her soft sock base. I think I have lost the label, but you saw it before. And I'm knitting blueberry waffle socks. I finished my first one last week. Or I had it finished last week already. This is the blueberry waffle pattern, which is a free pattern on Ravelry. And I think it works really well with all kinds of yarns, which is really fun. And of course I did the bottom of the foot in stockinette. And I just love how this yarn is knitting up. I love it so much more than I knew I was going to love it, but It looks so much nicer knitted up than it already did in the cake, which is amazing. So this is the first one. And the second one, I had just done the calf last week. This is where I was last week. So I've knitted the leg and I put in the fish lips conceal. And now I'm knitting on the foot. So I really want to get some stuff off the needles, and as you can see, I'm kind of close, but not very close to finishing both the featherweight and this, and also the next project that I'm going to show you. But yeah, I really want these to be finished so I can wear them. And I'm knitting these on 2.25mm US size 1 higher sharp circulars. They are not interchangeable, they're just the fixed circulars, which I really like, even though I would love to get an interchangeable set from higher as well, because I really like their needles and their cords, and yeah, I talk about this every week, I think. And I'm using 64 stitches for these socks, which is my sort of norm for my socks. My next project is living in this bag, which is from Lovely Kelly, who sent this to me in a swap. And this bag is actually quite full now, because this is my succulent shawl by Maria Monska, and this is huge now. So this is how much yarn I have left, which is not very much. In fact, I was contemplating binding off early because I was worried about running out, but I think I'll be fine. This yarn is Geneva Farm in the Findlay base, which is a 50% merino, 50% silk yarn. It is lace weight. It has 730 meters or 798 yards per 100 grams, and this colorway is called Deep Blue. And like I said, I'm knitting the succulent shawl, which is a pattern by Maria Monska, and I have put this on very large needles now, very large cable, and I'm showing you the back. So you can see how huge this is. This is barely half of the shawl. Yeah, how do I show this to you better? But you can see it's got this beautiful lace pattern and then stockinette stitch in between. And you can see the stitch marker is where I was last week. So I have made quite a bit of progress, considering there's like a million stitches on the needles at the moment. So I finished charts A and B, and I just did chart C yesterday while watching the Olympics. And I'm ready to move on to the very last chart. So like I said, I thought about just doing a bind off now, but I think I have enough yarn to knit the last chart, which I think is about another maybe 12 rows or something. And then it has a picot bind off, which I don't think I will do, but we'll see. I'm really loving this project. I'm knitting this on 3.5mm needles on my Knit Pro Nova interchangeables. I think I have this on a 120 centimeter or 114 centimeter cord now, which is why I can show it to you better than I usually can. But yeah, it's got crazy amounts of stitches. And even though I love knitting it, I'm knitting this shawl for the third time because I love it so much. In fact, I really felt like knitting some lacy projects, and now I feel like I'm ready to finish this and knit something else. In fact, I feel like I've been knitting more shawls lately, and as much as I'm enjoying it, I kind of want to cast on all the socks at the moment. In fact, there's 2 pairs of socks that I'm planning to cast on pretty soon, but I just really want to finish one of these projects at least, or preferably even more before I cast on new things. My sisters who were here last week, and I'll talk more about this later, they have ordered all kinds of knitwear. So I think they ordered 2 pairs of socks and a shawl, and I've been planning to knit my boyfriend more socks for weeks and weeks, and I just never cast them on. So, and when I say they order things, I mean I love doing it. I love knitting for them, so it's not really like anyone's forcing me to do it, but yeah, I have so many projects that I want to knit and need to knit, and it's a little bit overwhelming at the moment. Anyways, last but not least is my Treat Yourself project, and I've been enjoying this project so much lately. So I cast on August 1st, and this is a bag from Katharina of Nalibes Yarn, who I keep talking about all the time. So you can see how beautiful this bag is. This is perfect for a 2-skein shawl. And in here I have my Emiliana shawl. And I'll show you the yarns that I'm using first. I'm using Tosh Merino Light for the very first time, which is my treat in a few ways, in the way that I've never knit with Madeline Tosh before. This is quite fancy for me, and also because I bought it on my first weekend in Munich when we moved a couple of, like 2 months ago. So anyways, you can see the white ball is, this one is a birch grey, this one is coquette, and this one is getting quite small because I've made crazy amounts of progress on this shawl because I just love it so much. So I'm knitting the Emiliana shawl, which is a shawl knit on the bias, and I've been wanting to knit a shawl like that for a while because I've always been knitting, or like lately I've been knitting a lot of either crescent-shaped shawl or triangular shawls, and I really felt like knitting a different construction. And this is the Emiliana shawl by, I'm going to say Maliha Designs. I'm not very good at pronouncing her designer name, so I will link it in the show notes. But here it is. This is how much I've done so far, so quite a bit. So you start out with one color and do this sort of textured garter stitch. It has these sort of slip stitch things in between, which is really, really fun to knit. And I'm almost finished with this first section, and then I will have 2 color work sections, but they're sort of slip stitch color work, so you only have to knit with one color at a time. I think she calls it mosaic knitting, which looks really, really interesting, so I'm very eager to get to that part. But yeah, you can see I've made quite a bit of progress, and this has been so much fun, and oh my gosh, I love Madeline Tosh Light. This is a single space, and it is just so luxurious to knit with. Now I really get the hype why everyone loves Madeline Tosh, because I love knitting with it so much, and it drapes so nicely, and focus. It feels nice when you knit with it, and yeah. Oops, that looked really stupid. I'm really, really enjoying this. I don't know how many more times I can tell you that. I think you probably have realized that I really enjoy this. So I knit all of this in the last week or so. I just put in a stitch marker in here because I wanted to mark, the front side, and this is my favorite stitch marker from Connie of Chili Knits, who sells yarn and stitch markers and bags and all sorts of things. So anyways, I think I have about, I don't know, 10 more repeats to go, and then I can start the color work section. And this design so far has been quite easy to knit, which is nice. It took me a while to figure out the sort of increase-decrease slip stitch thing, because you just kind of need to get into the rhythm of things. But because you're basically doing something every 3rd row, or every 3rd right side row, I should say, yeah, I feel like it doesn't get boring, because I just feel like, oh, I get to another slip stitch row, and like, oh, then I just knit the 2 garter rows, and then I just keep going. And I knit a crazy amount of this yesterday while watching the Olympics again. I just couldn't stop knitting on it. So for this, I'm using 3.5mm needles. I'm again using my Knit Pro Nova interchangeables, and that's a size US size 4. And you're supposed to use a US size 6, which is 4mm, but I just prefer knitting on 3.5. And I was worried about running out of yarn, because you're supposed to have 30 grams left when you start the color work, and I know that I knit quite loosely, and I just didn't want to gamble with the yarn, so yeah, I just went down. And I think this shawl is going to be quite large anyways. But yeah, I'm loving this project. This is definitely my favorite project at the moment. I just enjoy it so much, and this is probably also my favorite bag at the moment, so this is just perfect. And yeah, I'm so happy I started the Treat Yourself cowl. So that's it for my works in progress. I have no idea how long I've been talking already. I feel like I'm kind of speeding through this, but I know I'll have probably a little bit more of a live section to talk about today, so that's fine. So I will move on to acquisitions, and as I said last week I had a lot of acquisitions, so I didn't show you everything. So I will show you what I got 2 weeks ago today. So last week I said that I was going to have a sock yarn stop, so I will stop buying sock yarn because I just buy so much sock yarn, and I'm not saying I will stop buying fingering weight yarn. I need shawls and I need yarn for shawls, but I want to stop buying yarn that I can only use for socks because it's just too crazy for anything else, because I have quite a huge stash of crazy colored sock yarn because apparently I can't say no to that. So this sock yarn, which I'm showing you now, I have bought before I started my sock yarn stop. And this is mostly for my boyfriend because he wants all the socks, and we kind of have started this thing of, well, hang on. Essentially, I would love to have sort of, surprise socks for him every now and then where I know what he likes and just knit him a pair of socks and surprise him with them. But the thing is that he is super, super picky about colors and yarn, so I always feel like I would love to be able to surprise him, but I never can because he's so picky with colors. But lately he's been surprising me with yarn, and he said he kind of told me very specifically what he doesn't like, which is pretty much everything. But I said I was going to order him some yarn and knit him some surprise socks. In fact, I have at least 2, probably 3 pairs planned for him that I want to be a surprise. So 2 out of the 3 skeins that I bought are probably going to be for him. So all these yarns are from another German indie dyer who is called Frau Oder Socke, and she's on Davanda, and I will link it on the show notes because I don't think she has her Davanda store on here. But this is how you spell it. I've knit with her yarn before, and it's held up really great. It's definitely on the sturdy side, which is good for my boyfriend because he wears through his socks like crazy. So yeah, I bought 3 skeins. This one is the one that I definitely picked for him because it's called Choco Caramel, which means chocolate caramel. And I know he will love the name, and it definitely looks like chocolate and caramel. It's got this sort of brownish yellow and a lighter yellow up here. And then lots of brown, so I think this is definitely playing it on the safe side for him, and I've knit him similar socks that kind of had white instead of the yellow part here, again also from this dye actually. So I think he will definitely like this, and this is definitely on the safe side. And all of these are her 75% wool, 25% polyamide sock yarn. The second one that I got, I wasn't sure if he was going to like it or maybe if I was going to just use it for myself, but I think he will like it. He says he doesn't like blue, but he likes blue in combination with other things. So this is called Mondlicht, which means moonlight. And as you can see, it's got this really, really nice blues. And again, the orangey yellow, and it goes into a lighter yellow up here, which I think is really fun. And then it has kind of the yellow goes into like green, like a turquoise green up here, which I think, again, this is going to be really, really fun, and it's pretty out there, but I think he will like it. I showed these to my sisters and they thought he would like them as well. So I think I will cast these on for him pretty soon. And then I also got a skein for me, and I kind of really was attracted to this whole yellow thing. So I got this one for me. I feel like she probably dyed these in the same series because they're pretty similar. They just have a different base color. Actually, all 3 of them have this sort of shade. This is called Hibiskusblüte, which is, I guess, hibiscus flower. And as you can see, it's got these yellow-orange shades, and then like these sort of tonal shades of this purpley pink. I guess it's purple in here, which I think are so pretty. And this just had to go home with me. I think this is so, so beautiful. And this will probably be for me, even though I'm not 100% sure. I feel like her yarns are great for gift knitting, so if I decide to knit socks for Christmas, which I might, and if I do, I will really, really start early because I don't want to have the stress that I had last year, where I knit 2 pairs of shirty socks in 1 week before Christmas. But yeah, this would be great for gift knitting as well, I think. So these are my acquisitions. I really like them. They kind of go together, but they also, I feel like all 3 of them are not what I usually buy, which always makes me happy because, yeah, like I always fall for, shades of pinks and grays and white, and I like when I have different stuff in my stash, so I don't feel like I'm just buying duplicates of what I already have. So that's my acquisitions. Nothing came this week, which is good, but I may have ordered a little bit of very fun things. But so far I have not bought any sock yarn. The only yarn that I bought was a skein of merino singles because I am really in love with singles yarn at the moment. And yeah, so with that, I think I'm pretty much done with the knitting content of this podcast. And I will just move on to life stuff and blather. So if you're not interested in that, that's 100% fine. And I will just see you next week. But if you want to stick around, please stick around. So many things happened this week. I'm not really sure where to start. I guess I'll start with the knitting related thing. So you might remember that I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, I had a little stupid accident where I dropped some pasta sauce in a glass all over the floor and messed up the entire kitchen. And in the process of that, I also got red tomato sauce over a new finished pair of socks, which I had actually only worn about an hour. I literally put them on the brand new nice Bärenwolle socks before I went shopping, and then they were all over, like splattered with red sauce. So these socks, of course, I washed them and I dried them and I blocked them, and then I put them on last Sunday night. And I actually said to my boyfriend, oh, these are my favorite socks ever. I think they're just so pretty because they were in this sort of speckled Lucy in the Skies with Diamonds colorway. I should probably have brought them. But anyway, so I wore them, and then the next morning I got up and I realized I had this huge hole in my sock. And I was pretty freaked out because I wear my socks to death. I wear hand-knit socks every day. In fact, it is August and I'm wearing hand-knit socks because I just love them. And so I would say that I have quite a good experience with wearing hand-knit socks. I wear them all the time and I never have any problems with holes or anything. And these were pretty much brand new. So I went to fix them I wanted to just recreate the stitches because I felt like only 1 or maybe 2 stitches had been come undone or something. And I tried to fix it, but then it kept on breaking, so I just kind of panicked because I didn't know what was going on and just cinched it all up. And I didn't do the prettiest job in mending them, but I figured they're fine. Then I realized that I had found a moth the day before, so then I was really freaking out, even though it didn't look like a moth hole. And so I didn't really think that it seemed like one big hole would not really just come from a moth. But anyways, I was still really worried just because I had seen the moths before on my blanket, and blankets were already in the freezer, so I decided to stick all of the socks that I stored in that drawer, because I stored my socks in different places in the freezer, because putting things in the freezer gets rid of moths. And yeah, at that point I was a little bit worried about the whole moth thing, and I mean, with hand-knit socks you put so much time into them, and I love my socks, and I was really worried about the idea of moths being in there. And lots of you guys gave me ideas of what could have happened on Instagram, which I really appreciated, because someone said maybe it had to do with your accident that you had before with the shards of glass. And I realized that, in fact, that's what must have happened, because I had the hole exactly on the spot on my foot where I had quite severely cut myself. And I completely forgot about that, so I'm 99% sure that that's what happened, because it just seems like, the shard of glass cut my foot. It probably just destroyed one of the stitches, and that's what happened. And then of course the hole would have gotten bigger and got undone while I was wearing them without realizing. So all of that to say that I was in a sock panic, but it seems like everything's fine, and I don't think anything happened that had to do anything with moths, but just to be sure, I've moth-proofed everything even more. By now, we have so much moth stuff here already. In fact, all of our wardrobes, when you open them, they just smell like moth deterrent. But I put some more stuff into my sock drawer. And yeah, so that's my sock story of the week. What else happened? So I recorded last Sunday, and then on Monday, my two sisters came for a visit. So my two sisters, they are 15 and 16, and they came down here because they hadn't been to Munich ever, and also not since we moved here. So they arrived on Monday, and on the Monday we spent a lot of time walking around the city, and I was just trying to show them the major sort of sites in the city, just get an idea, and then we hung out in the English Gardens, which is a huge park, and yeah, that was really, really fun. And then on Tuesday, we went to another museum. We went to the Pinakothek der Moderne, which is a museum of modern art, because my middle sister is very interested in art. In fact, she's starting art school in September. So that was really, really interesting. I really enjoyed that. There were a lot of different exhibits. So I always feel really overwhelmed at the end. So I would probably like to go back and look at some things again that in the end I was just too tired to look at. But yeah, it was a really, really fun experience. I think we spent about 3 hours there. And then we went to my favorite tea house in Munich. And they had bagels and sandwiches. And of course, I had crazy amounts of coffee. Whoops, my phone just rang. Oops, sorry about that. And I had a scone with lemon curd. I've never had lemon curd before, I think, and that was really delicious. And I had some crumpets, and yeah, it was really, really fun. And then on the way home, I was like, well, we could go home, or we could go to the nicest yarn store in the city, which of course is the Mercerie. So my sisters were quite keen because the middle one likes knitting, and the youngest one, she sometimes likes knitting. So we went there, and it was really funny. This seems to be my new thing. I go there with other people, and then I enable them to buy yarn and actually don't buy anything myself, which I felt really good about because I have a lot of yarn, and I said to myself I was only going to buy something if I really, really loved it. And I had a few hanks of Madeleine Tosh in my hands, and I was quite tempted, but I resisted. But we picked out some yarn because my sister wants to knit the 3-color cashmere cowl by Joji Locatelli. I knit her one about 2 years ago, and she wanted to knit one herself, and this is probably the most advanced knit because she doesn't really know how to knit with a pattern or anything. So she picked out some Holz Super Soft, which was quite good because they have amazing colors, and of course it's relatively affordable for a 16-year-old. And I gave her some needles, and we cast on her 3-color cashmere cowl, and she is actually doing a really, really beautiful job. I will try to get a photo from her when she's further along, and maybe I can show it on the podcast. So anyways, when we got home, we were actually really, really tired. And then on Wednesday, my sisters were still pretty tired, and they're like, can we just do nothing today? So we spent Wednesday pretty much hanging out at the River Isar, which is pretty much at my doorstep here. And they actually did some knitting at the river, which was nice. And, we put our feet in the water, and we, of course, again, had lots of coffee, and we went out for pizza with my boyfriend at night. And then on Thursday, they took the train back home. So that was really, really fun. And to be honest, I like being social, but then it gets overwhelming for me at some point. So spending 3 to 4 days always without people was quite exhausting, but it was so nice. And of course, I love my sisters. So yeah, we had a really, really good time. And then on Thursday, I was actually planning to just, chill out because I had fallen behind so far on podcasts. In fact, I'm still very much behind. I hadn't done very much knitting. But then I decided to just dive head into work. I did work when they were there, which probably added to me being exhausted because I sometimes got up early and did a couple of hours of work before we did stuff. But anyways, I did crazy amounts of work on Thursday, and then on Friday I decided I deserve a day of doing nothing. And Friday, it rained from the morning till the night. It just rained and poured, and it rained so much that in fact the river is quite flooded here, and yeah. But that was the perfect day for me to. I did run a few errands, but then I just stayed inside and I cuddled up and I knit like a crazy woman. And yeah, I've been enjoying knitting so much at the moment. I'm just in love with my projects, and I feel like I didn't knit very much in the last few on the days before, so I really, really enjoyed my knitcation. We actually also went for a run, so I didn't feel like I didn't do anything. And then yesterday, which was a Saturday, we drove down to a lake called Starnberger See, which is pretty close to here, probably about 20 to 25 minutes. And the weather still wasn't that great, but it was nice enough to walk around, and I will definitely put in some videos of the scenery and everything in the end because I thought it was very, very beautiful. So we just went down there, we got a coffee to go and just walked around and sat at the river and at the lake and talked. And then we kind of checked out Starnberg, which is the town close to the river. I actually went into a yarn store, but I didn't like it at all, so I probably spent only like 2 minutes there because they had nothing that really interested me. But anyways, so that was yesterday, and then again I was planning to just hang out and do nothing, but again, as happens so many times, my boyfriend gets something in his mind that he wants to do and then gets overwhelmed and then we both do it. So we made kannebula, is that how you say it? And they're these Swedish cinnamon rolls, which I absolutely love. I'm kind of addicted to them at the moment. And this was the first time we wanted to make them ourselves, and we made a huge mess. And we made crazy amounts as well. I posted a photo on Instagram, but we made way more than that. And doing all that, it took a long time, but it was really fun. And then I was, of course, watching in the Olympics because I am just crazy excited about that. My boyfriend completely doesn't understand it because, like, everyone in my family doesn't really get it because I don't do that much sports. But I love the Olympics. So I think I spent most of yesterday in the afternoon watching the cycling and I don't know the word for the other sport that I watched. Anyways, but yeah, I'm really enjoying the Olympics. In fact, everything is kind of revolving around that at the moment. If I could, I would totally eat and sleep according to Brazilian times and just get up at 2 o'clock, which is probably, I think 2 or 3 in the afternoon is when it's morning there. So I would love to do that and just watch the Olympics all day. But of course, that's not really possible. And it's probably a good thing that I can't watch the Olympics here in the mornings because otherwise I would not get any work done at all. And this way I have some motivation to work in the mornings or work until the afternoon and then spend the late afternoon and the night watching sports. And of course, Olympics are great for knitting. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. This morning we checked out another part of the city. We went to Heidhausen, which of course, if you're in Munich, you probably know. It's a really pretty area, and we went to this very sort of hip coffee store, which was really cute. Like we sat on little tiny stools, and they had lots of sort of very homemade things, which was really cute. I posted a photo on Instagram if you're interested. And anyways, so today the weather's quite nice, but I'm pretty excited to just sit on my couch and watch the Olympics and just chill out. And yeah, I feel like the last couple of days have just been so, so nice. Like, I didn't really realize it, but I think I was quite exhausted, and I have never enjoyed just sitting down and doing nice things for like nothing super special at all, but I just really enjoy doing nothing. And I really needed this knitcation. In fact, I wish I could just continue like this and not go back to working on my thesis tomorrow. But yeah, I'm really, really enjoying the relaxation. I had a bubble bath for the first time in what feels like months, and yeah. So I'm feeling nice and relaxed and very happy. We are also planning a little trip or maybe 2 trips. We really wanted to go on a holiday, but it's been really tough because my boyfriend just started his new job, so he can't really take a week off. So in the end of August, he has 3 days off, so we're planning to do something for 5 days, and we still haven't decided what we're going to do because I would have liked to go somewhere where it's warm and with a beach or a pool or something, but it seems like everything is quite expensive now because it's, of course, the holidays and the main season, and we're kind of late in organizing our ideas, so we're not sure. Maybe we'll just do something chill. I would also really like to go to London for the weekend because there's a long weekend next weekend. But again, I have been checking prices for flights today because I would really love to go, but that would already be on next Friday, and it seems like it's just quite expensive. So I'll definitely go to London at another time because my boyfriend has his sister and her husband live there, so I basically could go there anytime and just stay there for free, which is always very nice. So anyways, we are still trying to figure out some kind of holiday plan, and right now pretty much everything is still up in the air. But yeah, I always forget to breathe when I talk to you guys, and then I'm really out of breath. So that's life at the moment. I'm trying to think what else is there to talk about. I guess show notes have their point. I haven't been spinning at all. I feel like just because I have so many knitting things I want to do and limited time, I just didn't have enough time, and I I already feel like I have too many projects on the go, which kind of slows me down, and then to add another hobby into it just makes it even more impossible to finish anything or make any decent progress. So I've just kind of put spinning on the wayside at the moment. I'm sure I'll go back to it. I'll probably go more back to it in when it comes to autumn and winter. But yeah, at the moment I just don't have a huge desire to spin, and I don't really want to push it. It's really funny, isn't it? How sometimes like you have different hobbies, and then sometimes I don't know, you're really into sewing, and then another time you fall back in love with knitting. And I definitely go through these phases. I mean, I always love knitting, but sometimes I kind of lose my mojo, and I think I did that a few weeks back. And at the moment I'm just so into it, and it's probably a sign that I need it as well. And yeah, it's been really, really fun, and I have all these things that I want to cast on. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else, but I don't think so. So, of course, I would always love to hear from you guys if you want to somehow leave me a message or talk to me on Ravelry or Instagram or YouTube. I always love to hear from you, and I always love to get your feedback. And I mean, this community is pretty much why I do this podcast. It's not because I want to talk to a camera, it's because I want to talk to you guys and get to know you guys and be part of this amazing community. So, thank you so much for spending your time with me today. I hope that the quality today was good. Do let me know. Yeah, I really thought about what I was going to do about this podcast, and I mean, in an ideal world, I would like to buy a really good camera, which is, like not a phone camera, to record better podcasts, but I don't really have or want to spend the money on it at the moment. And I thought about doing something like a Patreon account, but I kind of feel weird taking money from you guys, even though it would be for the podcast and not for me personally. So I feel kind of uncomfortable about that. If anyone has any ideas about that, you can let me know, but at least right now, I don't feel like that's something I feel comfortable doing. Which doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with anyone else doing it. It just feels like I don't know how I would feel about it. It might just be a little bit too much pressure. Anyways, um, now I'm losing my train of thought. I should probably stop. Thank you so much for spending time with me. I hope you enjoyed it. I love talking to you guys, and I just hope you guys have had the best weekend and that you're enjoying your knitting and everything is going well for you. And I will talk to you next week. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!